everyone today to this 30-minute practice. You're very welcome here. And today's practice, we're going to focus on some more strength work following on from last week. So we're going to be doing a little bit more strength work in and around the glutes and the pelvis and the core, etc. So a few more kind of drills and fun stuff to do there. And as usual, we'll have a little bit of breath work in the beginning and get you down to a nice Shavasana as well. So sitting in your comfortable seated position, whatever that is for you today, whatever works for you. You can sit like myself in Virasana, hero's pose, if that's comfortable. Otherwise, yeah, feel free to take these first few moments even lying down on the mat. Your eyes can be open or closed. Depends how you feel today. Take these first few moments here just to settle in to your mat or whatever your practice looks like at home, however your setup is. Start to perhaps feel a sense of grounding or rooting down to the earth with your lower body, your legs, if you're seated like me. Perhaps a sense of lift coming from your hips, up your spine, all the way past the crown of your head. Of course, if you're lying down in Shavasana, then you can just feel rooted to the earth entirely. That's okay. And just take a moment here to check in with your breath. So just noticing how you're breathing today. Not trying to force or control. Just observing, how are you breathing today? Now, breath is very much an indicator of how we are feeling in our nervous system, emotionally as well. So just take this chance to notice your pattern, your rhythm of breathing. Do your breaths feel short and sharp and shallow? Do they feel deep and long? Is the inhale longer or shorter than the exhale? Just noticing your breath. And perhaps using this as a tool to bring your focus and your awareness and attention to this present moment now, putting aside what you've been doing so far today, what you're going to be doing later, and just focusing on the here and now. Now bringing some control and intention to the breath, emptying out your lungs completely through your nose, breathing in nice and slow and deeply through the nose, pausing at the top of the breath, and then opening the mouth and sighing it out, emptying your lungs, breathing in through the nose again, slow and deep, pause, and sigh it out. One more like this. Breathing in through the nose. And let it go. Letting any sensations settle. From here, if your eyes are closed, gently blinking them open to find yourself in the space. Hello. And if you're lying in Shavasana, perhaps come to a comfortable seated position. I'm just going to change the way that I'm sitting here. So we're going to do a little bit of breath work, something a little bit different before we move to our kind of strengthening type postures, etc. today. So this is going to be, it's kind of just a way to squeeze kind of old dead air out of your lungs, and by virtue of that, kind of old stale energy as well. So what we're going to be doing is taking a nice long slow inhale, and then you're literally going to use your lower belly, your diaphragm, and you're going to force and squeeze the air out of you as fast as you can. It might feel a little bit strange, and let it obviously come out your mouth, but not your nose. So I'm going to just demonstrate what that will look and potentially sound like. So you'll be sitting in your comfortable seated position, whatever that is for you, as long as your spine is nice and tall and you feel nice space around your chest and your lungs, etc. So the inhale will be something like this. With the exhale, something like this. So, sounds a bit funny, maybe looks a bit mad, but it's a really great way to just force the air out of your lungs, and really, like, just doing that one, I can really feel from the base of my lungs all the way up that I kind of just squeeze that air out of me. So we'll do 3 rounds of it. If you don't want to do that, you can of course sigh out the breath like we just did earlier. Or even if 1 round is enough for you, again, depending, some people can feel certain sensations, maybe they're good, maybe you don't like them, so go with how you feel, it's your practice. So we'll do 3 rounds, 1 round of regular breath between to prepare. So emptying out the lungs, inhaling through the nose, strong and deep, and then really squeeze it out. All the air is gone. Inhale through the nose. Push the air out. 1 more like this. And let your breath return to normal. You might feel the desire and need to cough. That can be good. And just let your breath settle once more. If you feel any dizziness or lightheadedness, I feel a little bit myself right now, that's fine. Let it settle. Take a moment. So we're going to begin with a little bit of postural asana practice now. So from your comfortable seated position, we're just going to kind of go straight into it. So I love a good plank, or plank position. So plank for me looks something like this. So elbows over wrists, shoulders over elbows, so the joints are nice and stacked in the arms. On the balls of your feet, really pushing into those heels. You don't want the legs to just kind of be dead and have all the weight in your upper body. You want to push back into those heels to distribute the energy and the strength of your body. Rotating those inner arms forward, space between the shoulder blades, really pushing that floor away. So this is a good plank for me here. And of course, your hips might be something like this, or a little bit lower. Try and think about getting them so that literally your body is like a straight line. So that works for me to hold a plank, but if today you're feeling like, oh, I'm not up to that, or it doesn't feel good, etc., you can of course do this with your knees down. So you can still utilize the positioning with your upper body in order to come into a plank position. So if you feel like raising the legs, great, but you can always bring the knees down. So we're going to do a few kind of plank drills, which should be some fun. So wherever you are on your mat, kind of in a loose tabletop position here. So come into your variation or version of plank. And before we move, we're going to hold here for 5, 4, don't let the head kind of hang or drop, keep it nice and engaged. 3, 2, 1, and so now we're going to lower down for 5. Keep those elbows into the body. 4, 3, 2, 1. You can come down to the floor or hover for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Coming up for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Holding here for 5. You can do it. 4, 3, 2, 1. And if you're not already, coming down to your knees, sitting back. Whew. Okay. So I'm a bit mean. I went straight into a plank kind of press up. So hopefully you're starting to feel a bit warm already just from that. So what we're going to do now is a couple lowering down planks. Once again, you can do this with your knees down. No obligation to have your knees up here. So what we're going to do, and I'll keep my knees down to demonstrate, is we're going to lower down and come back up, one arm at a time, okay? And the trick here is you want to do this as slow and steady as you can, so not kind of dropping down, because that's not going to be great in your joints, not going to feel good. So we'll come down onto the right forearm, and then left forearm, and then come back up onto the right hand, and then the left hand. And then we go back the other way, left, right, and then left, right, okay? So we're going to be lowering and coming back up. This is a really strong practice to do, really strong drill. And like I say, we're going to move with the breath. So it's breath first, accompany the movement, and don't be in a rush to drop down or push back up. So if you can keep the movement the same length as your breath, that would really help kind of your practice today. So let's give that a go. So choose wisely here. Are you going to be on the knees? Or are you going to have the legs straight? You decide. You can always change during it. So inhaling here. Exhale. Come down to the right forearm. Inhale here. Exhale. Come down to the left forearm. Inhale. Come up to the right hand. Exhale. Inhale. Come up on the left hand. Exhale here. So we're going to go straight to the other side. Inhaling. Exhale, down to the left forearm. Inhale here. Down to the right forearm on the exhale. Steady yourself. Inhale up on the left arm, or left hand I should say. Exhale here. Inhale, come up to the right hand. Exhale, sit back. Whew. So you can do those as fast or as slow as you like. I like to do them nice and slowly. I feel like there's more engagement actively throughout it. There's a really great strengthening drill. So what we're going to do now is come into a position called Vashisthasana, or side plank. So you don't have to do this again with your legs straight. So side plank for me would be something like that. Okay, so this is a really strong pose. So it took me a long time to be able to be on one hand like this. So you can, of course, come into this variation with the leg matching the hand. So if I'm on the left hand here, left arm, and you bring that left leg down, the left knee, and you can have the foot coming in, we're going back like this, and you can do side plank Vashisthasana in this position as well. Still very strong, really pushing into that back foot. So you can either have both legs off the floor, or you can do this variation here as well. They both work equally good. So we're going to start with the right side, so I'll be facing away from you. So again, so decide what you'd like to do here, legs straight or not. So your next inhale, coming up to your plank position of choice, preparing to go to the right. And exhale, you can rotate onto the outside of the right foot, stack the left foot over the right, and bring the left arm up, maybe looking up to those fingertips. Really grounding into every part of that bottom hand. You can, of course, bring that right knee down. Same position. Holding for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And on your next exhale, coming down to plank, nice and slowly. Getting ready, inhaling here. And exhale, over to the left side. Once again, the left knee can be down, it can be up. Holding for 5, 4, think about really pushing that hip up towards the ceiling. 3, 2, 1. Exhale, coming back down to plank. Inhaling here. And exhale, out of Uttanasana, downward facing dog. Woo, so just take a moment here. Pedaling out the heels. Sending those heels back towards the floor. Doesn't matter if they touch or not. Rotate those inner arms forward. Great space between the shoulder blades. Let the head and neck relax here. And just breathing here in this inverted posture. You can, of course, bend the knees here if your hamstrings are feeling a bit tighter today. Inhaling here, look between the hands. Exhale. Coming onto the knees. So, we're going to do, before we get to some more core stuff, just great for the shoulders, arms, since we've been doing a bit of this work with plank. We're going to do some handstand push-ups. I'm only joking. We're not going to push up into a handstand, but we are going to work on loading weight and resistance into the arms. So, like I said, we're not about to come from here and into a handstand, absolutely not. But when I say by working on loading weight into the hands, the arms, etc., is that we can do this coming from a downward dog position, where you can walk the feet in towards your hands, and coming onto your tiptoes is a great way to do this. And you can come to a position where you feel, okay, my body weight's really engaging into my hands here. You can see that my upper back is rounded, my pelvis is tucked under, and I'm bringing the weight into the hands and back, rocking back and forth, and then coming down. Whew. So we're going to hold that for 5 seconds once you get to your edge and you're willing to work with. And make sure to keep breathing. It's a very powerful thing to do here. And if you ever want to work on something like going into a handstand one day, it's a great prep work to do. Even if you never want to do handstands, and that's totally fine, it's just a great strengthening type posture. We don't very often bring our arms up overhead in our daily lives. So, on your next exhale, coming to downward dog. And on next inhale, looking forward between your hands, keep your gaze between your hands, walk forward on your tippy toes as far forward as works for you, for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and exhale, come back into Malasana, or squat position. So, hopefully that felt good. That's a great strengthening posture. So, from there, come to sit with your legs out in front of you in what's called Dandasana, or L, staff position. So, we're going to be doing some bridge work here, which is great for the core, great for the legs, lower back and glutes as well. So, before we do bridge, or Setyabandha Sarvangasana in Sanskrit, we're going to do a position called Purvottanasana, which is a great challenge, really strong posture. I think I'm saying that about everything we're doing today, but it really is. So for me, Purvottanasana, the version I'm working with looks something like this. Okay, so what's important here is that if you're going to bring your legs straight, is that your big toes are together, you're pushing those feet towards the floor, you're rotating your legs inwards, so you squeeze in. You don't want them to go out like that. It's going to squash in your lower back, so you want to squeeze in. And you're imagining again, like it's kind of a it's a reverse plank. So you're in a straight line, but instead of being forward, we're pushing away. So it's going to feel a little bit different. Same sort of position with your body, but just reversed. So see how it feels. So if that's not going to work for you today, you can do the same position, but with your knees bent, and what's called a reverse tabletop. So that's coming up like so. Now, if your body's not coming parallel with one another, it doesn't matter. Just keep that action of sending your hips up. So even with Purvottanasana, if this is good for you today, that's fine. Then work with that. What you want to imagine is that the strength is coming from the front of the legs, not the glutes, and that you're sending the energy upwards from this part of your body. And you really want to ground into those hands and straighten those arms to push and resist away. Okay, so picking your choice here, whether it's the reverse tabletop or Purvottanasana. And we're going to do 3 rounds. We're going to go up on the inhale, lower on the exhale, but we're not going to touch down. We're just going to hover and then back up. Okay, so we'll do 3 of those. So your choice, wherever you are, exhaling, emptying out those lungs. And then long, slow inhale, rising up. Gaze can be back or up or forward. Exhale to lower, hover. Inhale, coming back up. Really push that ground away. Exhale, lower and hover. Inhale up. And exhale, lower. Okay. So now we're going to come up into reverse tabletop or Purvottanasana, the straight-legged version that I was doing there. And we're going to hold for 5. Okay, so keep breathing during the 5, don't hold your breath. And we're just going to do that one more time, but for a hold of 5. And really think about, like I say, sending the energy up from the core of your body, really pushing down into the knuckles, the fingertips, the heel of your hand, using that resistance as a help to move the energy upwards. Okay, so your choice here. Exhaling, emptying out the lungs. And in the inhale, lift and hold for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And your next exhale, release. Okay. Give it a moment here, come back to your breath. So we're going to do a little bit of core work. Oh, sorry, I said we're going to do bridge. So I'm not going to cheat you out of that. So bridge, coming to the position here to start with, just bring your back onto that. Arms parallel to your body, feet in towards your glutes, not so far that you can hold or touch the back of the feet, but just past there. And we're going to lift up into bridge. So what you want to do here is make sure the knees don't go out like this. So you want to press into those big toes and adduct or bring the knees in towards one another. In fact, lifting up, maybe even start with the knees together. And what that'll help to do is to lengthen and elongate the lower back as opposed to squishing into the lower back. Okay. And again, here the action is not the glutes. So you want to relax those. You want to send the energy up here from the front of your body. Keep those knees in. Okay. So we're going to do 3 rounds of lifting on the inhale, lower to hover. Okay. And what can really help here is if you press those hands into the ground. And what you can also do is on the lift, you can come up more onto the shoulders if that works for you. And then exhale lower. Okay. So emptying out those lungs completely. Inhale, send the knees forward, push into those big toes, lift the hips up. Exhale, lower and hover. Inhale up. Exhale, lower and hover. Last one here, inhale up. Exhale, lower down. So this time we're going to come up for a count of 5. And then what we're going to do is in that hold, you have an option here, once we're up in it, that you can extend the right leg first up and then parallel. Okay, this is quite strong, this position here. And then I'll give you the cue to do the same thing with the left and to hold parallel. Or you're free to stay up in the bridge position, like so. You don't have to come into the other variation. Okay. So deciding your choice here. Emptying out the lungs. Inhale, lifting up into your bridge. You can either hold here or on your next inhale, right knee in. You can straighten the leg if you want. Exhale, lower. Inhale up. Exhale, place that right foot on the ground. Otherwise, if you're still holding, just keep holding, pushing the energy up from the front of the body. Inhale, left knee in. You can straighten the leg if you want. Exhale, lower and hold. Inhale up. Exhale, lower. Last inhale, send those hips as high as you can. And exhale, release. Woo. Hopefully feeling nice and active now. From this position here, we're going to come to our Dandasana, our L position. We're going to do so lifting with the core and lifting with the strength of the core. So that means coming from seated, and the inhale, lifting up. You can of course also come into your elbows and come up that way. You don't have to just come straight up. So preparing here, arms out parallel to your body. Then the inhale, nice long slow inhale. Lift and exhale. Okay. So we're going to do a little bit of core work here before coming down to Shavasana. And seeing as I got my leg warmers on today, we're going to do a little bit of Jane Fonda type aerobics. So the position for this is to come onto your elbows. The legs will then be straight in front of you. And those elbows should be under the shoulders, really ground into those palms. And lift with your sternum. You don't want to collapse the chest here. So lift, push actively into those arms. So from this position here, on your inhale for 5, bring the legs up. 4, the knees can be bent here. 3, 2, 1. Holding up for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Point the toes and then crisscross, lowering for 5, 4. Real 80s vibe here. 3, 2, 1. Keep crossing and hover for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Keep lifting that chest, coming up for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Stop, lowering for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Hover there, lifting the right leg for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Lower, lift the left leg for 5, 4. Squeeze that core. 3, 2, 1. Lower and release. Whew. Going down to the ground. Before moving into Shavasana, let's take a supine twist. Nice and easy, so bringing the knees in towards the chest. Arms can be in cactus pose, or maybe out straight. And your next exhale, send those right knees over to the right, grounding that left shoulder to the mat. Gaze can be straight up over the left shoulder. Holding here, letting those legs relax, sink over to the right. Your next inhale, coming back to center, and exhale, knees, legs over to the left, grounding that right shoulder. You inhale, legs coming back to center. You can either let the legs go long or join me in one more little core workout. So if you want, you can straighten the legs and lower down for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and release. Coming into your Shavasana. Feet can be close apart, hands close apart, palms up, palms down. You put your legs over a bolster, blanket. Your eyes can be open or closed. Entirely up to you. And just taking a moment here to let your breath settle, your heart rate to slow. Back down to a normal sort of pace after our strengthening work. This is a time for you to let go of any sort of engagement, to seek stillness in your body, perhaps a brief moment of stillness in your mind, and just be. And from your position, lying on the mat, starting to bring some subtle movement back to your body, maybe wiggling your fingers, your toes, moving your feet and your hands, your arms and legs. Maybe you want to lengthen and deepen your inhalations and exhalations. Maybe you want to stretch out overhead, and squeeze and yawn, like you're waking up for the first time today. Slowly rolling over into your right hand side, taking a moment there, so if you've no rush. And from this position on the side of your body, gently pushing yourself up, slowly and carefully, no rush again at all, coming back to a comfortable seated position. It could be the same as the beginning of your practice, it could be different. Your eyes can remain closed or open, entirely up to you. And perhaps you'd like to place one hand over the other at your heart center, bowing your head slightly towards your hands. Taking a moment to give yourself gratitude here for practicing today. Gratitude for this yoga practice. And perhaps taking a moment to give thanks to or be grateful for somebody or someone or something in your life. And gently, if your eyes are closed, blinking them open to find yourself back in the space once more. Thank you for joining me here today on the mat for this hopefully fun, strengthening practice. And I look forward to seeing you soon. Namaste.